For the second article in the packet, we will be reading Can Television Be Considered Literature and Taught in English Classes by Shelby Ostegard, 2017. I'm going to read the intro here first just so we have some background knowledge. Movie days in the classroom are infrequent and far between, but what if teachers use television as a means of teaching? Shelby Ostergaard discusses whether or not television can be considered a form of literature and the benefits and disadvantages of teaching it in the classroom. As you read, take notes on the benefits and disadvantages of teaching television in the classroom. This last part right here would be great for your 3 annotations that you need to make that were lined out in the packet that's going to be sent to you. Let's go ahead and get started. Paragraph 1. We have always had stories. They were first told orally as fairy tales, folklore, and epic poems, and were eventually written down. And for as long as we have had stories, we've had literature. Stories are usually considered literature when they have long-lasting artistic or social value. Epic poems like the Odyssey or novels like To Kill a Mockingbird are considered literature because they have deeper meanings that go beyond the story. Both stories are meant to do more than just amuse the reader. A pop novel, like a James Patterson book you can buy at the airport, would not traditionally be considered literature because it is not meant to do much more than entertain the reader. As we've transitioned from hearing stories to reading them, our ideas have changed about what kinds of stories have merit. We have always made a point to pass on the stories we value next to generation, regardless of their form. Therefore, it should not be so outrageous to declare that a new form of literature has been forged and needs to be passed on. Television shows. Television shows can be as complex as novels and can provide students with opportunities to learn that novels do not. Yet, there are legitimate concerns about using classroom time to dissect television. One issue is that complex television shows tend to have adult or graphic themes not suitable for the classroom. Another concern involves how much time students spend on television. Plenty of students already watch and discuss television in their own lifetime, so is television needed in the classroom too? Finally, the written word teaches cognitive skills that television cannot. The idea of television as a form of literature that should be taught in the classroom remains controversial. How many times have you heard the phrase, television rots your brain? If television is literature, should it be taught in English class the same way traditional literature is taught? If you see these little numbers here, 2, 3, those are directions for you to look down at the bottom of your page and see the definitions, okay? That's going to happen in all of the stories that you'll be reading in your packet. Let's go ahead and move on to paragraph 5 with our title, The Golden Era of Television. We are now living in the golden era of television. The term golden era is what television and media critics call the collection of TV shows from the late 1990s to present day. Commercial television shows have existed since the early 20th century, but as Jason Mitchell notes in his book Complex TV, technological development in the late 1990s led to 3 drastic changes in television. First, TV shows started to look better and showcase more interesting camera work. Second, the growth of more available channels led to an increase in the number of shows being produced. And third, technology allowed users to record, pause, and rewind the shows they were watching. Together, these 3 changes ushered in the golden era of television, allowing TV shows to tell more complex stories. There isn't a clear-cut division between a complex plot and a simple one, but in general, simple plots exist in shows where every episode begins as if the one before it hasn't happened, known as standalone episodes. Complex plots, on the other hand, exist in shows where each episode depends on what happens before, known as serialized episodes. Stories with plots that are artistically and socially relevant are considered complex and literary by scholars, critics, and fans alike. A television show that uses social, political, or highly personalized issues in its plot is complex. If you think of a standalone episode, that could be an example of Criminal Minds, where each episode is its own story. A serialized episode, I know everyone, including myself, is probably watching On the Block. That is an example of a serialized episode. Until the golden era of television shows, TV plots and characters tended to be simple. They had to be. Television shows were designed to appeal to as broad an audience as possible and to be easy to catch up on. Television technology changed all of that. Now, television shows have as many complex characters and plot lines as novels do. As Thomas Doherty put in the Chronicle of Higher Education, golden era television shows are ones like Mad Men, Breaking Bad, Downton Abbey, Homeland, Dexter, Boardwalk Empire, and Game of Thrones, where the talent, the prestige, and the cultural buzz now swirl. Talent, prestige, and cultural buzz are all pretty good reasons to study a work of art, but the shows Doherty listed are adult entertainment that deal with sexual and violent themes. When novels deal with similar themes, they are not visual. TV shows place those themes directly before the viewer. Movies and plays also have visual elements, and plays with adult themes like Hamlet and Romeo and Juliet are frequently taught in schools. But whereas plays in cinema are visual, they do not tend to be as graphic as Golden Era TV shows. Proprietary and censorship laws prevented Shakespeare from showing overtly visual elements related to his mature themes. Trying to teach a Golden Era television show in an English class ushers in the possibility that students will be exposed to overtly mature themes and images no one would be comfortable discussing in a classroom. Section Closing Cultural Divides. Paragraph 10. Nevertheless, cultural buzz is why studying television shows in English class might be unavoidable. Books used to be one of the major ways to bind a culture together. Classic American novels, such as The Scarlet Letter, helped shed light on American culture and values. In the later half of the 20th century, television and movies began to fill that role. TV shows like Seinfeld and Friends have come to define American culture far more than any novel has been able to do in recent years. Both sitcoms have been dubbed and translated around the world, making the characters in their lives synonymous with the American experience to people everywhere. Unless students begin to study television in school, some younger Americans may never see the TV shows that other cultures find quintessentially American. Across the country, Americans watch different television shows. For example, the TV shows Girls and Duck Dynasty both premiered in 2009. Girls was a critical darling, producing reviews and discussion across the web. It averaged just over 1 million views per episode, most of whom lived in cities. Duck Dynasty, on the other hand, had record-breaking numbers of viewers for many episodes, largely from rural areas. Critics and reviewers ignored it. Both shows were hits in different ways, and both say something relevant about the U.S. today. These trends in television exemplify a cultural urban-rural divide in the U.S. According to research gathered in 2016 by the New York Times, shows like NCIS and Duck Dynasty have nearly all of their viewers in rural areas, while shows like Girls and The Daily Show have viewership in urban areas. Americans are no longer watching and discussing the same things. Teaching television shows in school can help to bridge that gap by providing a common cultural ground in the way novels once did. Now we're in the section, The Importance of Reading. Bridging that gap is important. Luckily, the conversations needed to bridge that gap about television and the way it functions for Americans are already happening. Notably, they're happening everywhere outside of the classroom. Websites like the AV Club recap TV shows daily, and conversations about current TV fill popular websites like Reddit and Tumblr. As this discussion of TV surges, enthusiasm for traditional written literature wanes. The National Endowment for the Arts found that in 1982, 56.9% of adults reported having read a work of literature in the past year. In 2015, only 43.1% of adults had. And further research by the National Endowment for the Arts found that literary reading has dropped across age, race, and educational levels among adults. As literary reading rates drop, one might argue that traditional literary reading needs to be preserved in the classroom, not to be replaced by conversations about television that are happening everywhere else in the U.S. It may be important to unite what rural and urban Americans watch. It may be more important for schools to keep young Americans reading. Novels teach writing skills. Although a TV show comes from a script, it is watched, not read. A TV show doesn't offer students the chance to diagram sentences or to dig deeply into how paragraphs function. A 2013 study done at Tohoku University in Japan found that the more TV children watched, the lower their verbal test scores became. In the same year, a study at Emory University found that college students had increased connectivity in the parts of their brain associated with language while reading a novel. Conclusion. Should television shows be taught in schools? Maybe. There are merits to the idea, namely that TV has reached a golden era of wonderful, complex stories. But there are also challenges such the graphic content of current TV shows and the communication skills that television fail to teach students. At the end of the day, teachers and principals will have to decide for themselves. There is a middle ground. Television shows are becoming increasingly culturally relevant, and this is not just because more people are watching them. More people are also writing about them. The internet is filled with recaps, reviews, and thousands of cultural critics discussing how relevant themes in television shows interact with our society today. Using these written materials, television can be taught in schools without sacrificing reading and writing skills or exposing students to graphic images. Reading about television can help preserve the best parts of English classes, while ensuring they are not permanently stuck in yesterday. When it comes to television in class, it might be possible for teachers to have their cake and eat it too. Okay, you have 5 text-dependent questions. Let's go ahead and start with question 1, part A. Which of the following best identifies the author's main claim in the text? A. Schools can use written materials about television to explore its place in today's culture and to teach reading, writing, and thinking skills. B. Even though watching television provides students with the same advantages as reading literature, it should not be considered as a legitimate school subject. C. English curriculum should incorporate watching television because it benefits students more than reading pop novels and literature. D. Watching television does not meet the requirements that determine if something is literature, but it's likely to develop more comprehensively in the future. Go back and reread it. If you cannot remember what something is what the requirements are to be considered literature, you need to go back to the text and reread that. Question 2, part B. Which detail from the text best supports the answer to part A? A. The idea of television as a form of literature that should be taught in classrooms remain controversial. B. Together, these 3 changes ushered in the golden era of television, allowing TV shows to tell more complex stories. C. When novels deal with similar themes, they are not visual. TV shows place those themes directly before the viewer. D. Using these written materials, television could be taught in school without sacrificing reading and writing skills or exposing students to graphic images. Question 3, part A. How do the benefits of television compare to reading literature? A. Television engages students more directly, while reading literature helps develop students' imaginations. B. Television can expose students to different types of stories and cultures, while reading literature develops their mental processes. C. Television teaches students more modern and relevant storylines, while reading literature allows students to better understand the past. D. Television more quickly develops students' mental processes, while reading literature teaches students patience and hard work. Question 4, part B. Which 2 sections from the text best supports the answer to part A? There are F amount of options. You need to select 2 answers. A. They were first told orally as fairy tales, folklore, and epic poems, and were eventually written down. B. First, TV shows started to look better and showcase more interesting camera work. C. The shows Doherty listed are adult entertainment that deal with sexual and violent themes. D. Teaching television shows in school can help to bridge the gap by providing a common cultural ground in the way novels once did. E. As this discussion of TV surges, enthusiasm for traditional written literature wanes. F. A study at Emory University found that college students had increased connectivity in the parts of the brain associated with language while reading a novel. Question 5. How does the author introduce the debate surrounding teaching televisions in the classroom? You need to include textual evidence in the response to question 5. Remember, for the discussion questions, you all have 3 options, but you are only selecting 2 to actually answer. Question 1. What are the costs and benefits of teaching television as a form of literature in classrooms? Do you think that potential benefits outweigh the costs? Why or why not? Cite evidence from this text, your own experience in other literature, art, or history in your answer. 2. Do you think if television was taught in the future, teachers would be able to provide students with the same mental stimulation that comes from reading literature? Why or why not? Question 3. In the context of this article, what is the goal of education? Does studying television help students accomplish what they should be achieving in school? Why or why not? Cite evidence from this text, your own experience in other literature, art, or history in your answer. Again, if you go to Google Classroom, you can answer these questions in EdSite. There is the code for you. If you have questions, email me or reach out to me in my Google Voice number. I will be continuing to post the rest of the stories at this YouTube page. Good luck. Let me know if you have any questions.